In Genesis 33, the long-awaited meeting between Jacob and Esau finally takes place. After years of separation and uncertainty, Jacob sees his brother approaching with 400 men. Fearing possible retaliation, Jacob prepares himself as best he can. He divides his family into groups and places himself at the front, as a sign of humility and courage. Jacob approaches Esau by bowing 7 times, a gesture that symbolizes respect and submission. When they finally meet, however, instead of an attack, Jacob is surprised by a hug from Esau, who welcomes him with tears in his eyes. The brothers reconcile, overcoming the distrust and resentment that had previously separated them. Jacob, grateful, insists on giving Esau the cattle and goods he had brought, saying that seeing Esau's face is like seeing the face of God, for he has been received in peace. Esau initially refuses, but ends up accepting the gift as a sign of renewed friendship. Esau proposes that they go together, but Jacob, concerned for the safety of his family and flocks, asks them to go slower. The brothers part peacefully, each going their own way. Jacob then settles in Succoth and later in Shechem, where he builds an altar to the Lord, reaffirming his faith and gratitude for the reconciliation with his brother and for divine protection. Subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end for a message that can change your life. Chapter 33 of Genesis addresses reconciliation, forgiveness, and redemption. Jacob and Esau's reunion is a powerful example of how God can transform hearts and restore broken relationships. Jacob, who previously deceived Esau, now approaches him with humility, acknowledging his past mistakes and seeking peace. Esau, in turn, represents grace and forgiveness, welcoming the brother who had wronged him. Jacob's reference to Esau's face as the face of God is significant, indicating that he sees reconciliation as a divine blessing, a sign that God was with him on his journey. Esau's action is a reminder that genuine forgiveness can break through even the deepest barriers of resentment. The construction of an altar at Shechem, where Jacob erects a place of worship to the Lord, is a marker of his gratitude to God, who protected him and enabled reconciliation. This altar symbolizes the importance of continued faith and devotion, even after peace has been achieved. Genesis 33 teaches us that forgiveness and reconciliation are possible with God's help and that humility and repentance can pave the way for healing relationships. Jacob and Esau's encounter takes place in an area that was part of tribal and trade routes, facilitating the movement of caravans and shepherds. The practice of bowing 7 times, as Jacob did when approaching Esau, was a common gesture of respect and submission in the ancient Middle East, symbolizing peace and humility when approaching a figure of authority. Succoth, where Jacob first settles after the reunion, is a site east of the Jordan and near an important intersection of trade and pastoral routes. Archaeologists have identified Succoth as a possible resting place, and excavations have revealed traces of herding and livestock farming in the area. Jacob later erects an altar at Shechem, which was a significant city in Canaan. Shechem was a religious and commercial center, and excavations at Tel Balata, associated with ancient Shechem, have uncovered temples and altars dating back to the Bronze Age, suggesting that the city was a place of worship and sacrifice. These archaeological finds help to contextualize Jacob's narrative and show how important these sites were to the patriarchs and their descendants. The reunion of Jacob and Esau in Genesis 33 has been widely studied by theologians, who consider it a powerful story of redemption and transformation. Jacob's preparation for the encounter, with prayers, gifts, and gestures of respect, is seen as an expression of his spiritual renewal and his sincere desire to make peace. Esau's embrace is interpreted as a gesture of unconditional reconciliation, surprising considering the years of tension between the brothers. The theme of forgiveness is central, and many scholars point out that Esau's response illustrates the kind of grace God expects from his children. The building of the altar at Shechem, which Jacob calls El Eloh Israel, God, the God of Israel, is studied as an expression of his new identity as Israel, one who strives with God and men and prevails. This altar is interpreted as a symbol of gratitude and a renewed commitment to God, consolidating Jacob's new beginning after reconciliation with Esau. The story inspires reflections on the role of forgiveness, humility, and reconciliation in the life of the believer. Excavations at sites such as Sukkot and Shechem have provided significant evidence that contextualizes Genesis 33. Sukkot, associated with Jacob's temporary settlement after his reunion with Esau, has revealed evidence of pastoral activities, such as wells and structures for herding livestock. Discoveries at Shechem, particularly at the Tel Balata site, include altars and temples that demonstrate that the city was a significant spiritual center in the Bronze Age. These worship structures highlight the patriarchs' practice of establishing altars and celebrating God's presence at important sites. Biblical references to these sites are corroborated by inscriptions and artifacts that indicate that Shechem was a religious and political center for diverse peoples over the centuries. Discoveries of inscriptions and ceremonial remains suggest that the tradition of building altars at important sites was a common practice among Middle Eastern cultures. These archaeological finds not only validate the historicity of the narrative, but also help to understand the importance of sites such as Sukkot and Shechem to the patriarchs. The story of Jacob and Esau is a timeless portrait of the need for forgiveness and reconciliation, themes that are still deeply relevant today. Jacob's courage in approaching Esau, knowing that he might face rejection or even violence, reflects the transformative power of humility and honesty. In a world where family and personal relationships can be fragile and where pride often prevents reconciliation, the example of Jacob and Esau offers a model of restoration and peace. Jacob's act of building an altar after their reunion symbolizes the importance of acknowledging God's blessings and living in gratitude. Today, many find in rituals and gestures of gratitude a way to renew their faith and celebrate the moments of healing in their own lives. The story shows that even when the past is marked by hurt, it is possible to restore broken bonds through forgiveness and understanding. Thus, Genesis 33 challenges us to seek peace, to value forgiveness, and to recognize that reconciliation is a blessing that can transform lives. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share, and remember, each day is a new opportunity to call on the name of the Lord. Until next time.